Hello, everybody, and it's lovely to see you. And we're covering a topic in our yoga session today that I think is particularly relevant for these times. It's also something I quite enjoy challenging myself and talking about, which is how we overcome fear. But before we do that, I just want to introduce you to the new man in my life. He only arrived yesterday. I don't know if you can see him, but he's on the sofa here. He's almost disguised by the cushion. I'm going to come over and point him. He's literally been here 24 hours and he's already settled in. His name is Siete, which is Spanish for seven, and that's what the foster people called him. So I'll just show you him. Here he is. And honestly, I thought, well, I hope he comes and joins in with yoga, but I didn't have any expectations, or, certainly I wasn't going to make him do it. But he's just come anyway. So it's a longer story of how I came to adopt him, which I won't interrupt your yoga session telling you about that. So maybe for another time, or maybe on our Facebook group. But certainly I feel like it's a love match between both of us. So I'm a very happy person to have this lovely cat, and thank you for all your hearts that you're giving. So the topic that we're going to look through somatically and through Muladhara chakra and through our meditation today is how do we overcome fear? And I want to, so I'm just check that I am recording, yes. I want to cover this in two ways. Firstly, there's external fear. So these are all the messages that we get from our society, which are being pumped at us at the moment. And then the other kind of fear is internal fear. And obviously, one affects the other, and we can talk about nervous system regulation. But I kind of just want to start by saying that one of the most important things in yoga, I seem to say this every week, that there's another important thing and another important thing. But critical of the teaching is that we don't believe our thoughts. And for some of you, that might sound really radical because we're very used to identifying with our thoughts and thinking that our thoughts are commands and that very often they're telling us the truth. But as we become more calm, more spacious, more centered, more in the present moment, we begin to see that our thoughts certainly will run patterns, but they're not necessarily true. And the more we can disengage from our thinking, the happier we are going to find ourselves. So just want to give you, I'm going to start by talking about external fear, and then we're going to do a little bit of a meditation around that. And I'm just going to look at some notes I made. So external thinking is a lot to do with what we are told. And I want to ask you how real you feel that is for you right now. Is it actually imagination, and is your thinking being manipulated? So the kind of thing, and I don't usually like to talk about things that might be triggering in a yoga session, but it might be that we're going to be invaded, or there's going to be another pandemic, or we're going to have chips in our brains and be run by AI, or all this stuff that's going on. Is it true now? Is it just an idea in the future that we're being presented with? Is it just imagination? And can we challenge that by being more spacious around our thinking? So I'm going to invite you now to come to a comfortable sitting position, or lie down if you need to. And if you're okay with it, just please close your eyes, because it always helps us to go more internally. Now, the Sanskrit word for fear in yoga is abhinivesha. It's what's called one of the kleshas, which means it takes us away from who we really are, from our true self. So just start by feeling into your body and observing how you are right now in this moment. Feel into your feet, your bottom, and without judgment, just notice how you are emotionally, physically, and mentally. And when I say notice, I want you to investigate this like you're an explorer and just ask yourself the question, what will bring balance to my body? Is it going to be movement, rest, breath, mantra? And just see the body as your portal for inner inquiry. And then I'd like you to pick something that might be worrying you at the moment, but not anything that's too overwhelming. Might be something that you've heard in the news or about the news if you're not watching the news. And this time, usually I'd say, face it, feel it, love it. But this time I'm going to say, ask yourself the question, how real is this thought? Is this thought true? Maybe the opposite is true. How do we know what's going to happen even when we finish the yoga session? And I often quote a study that was done. I've quoted it actually, the research in my book, which was 100 people, 1 January, were asked to write down all their fears by a university project. And then the students went back a year later to research what had happened with all these fears that were shared. And something like 98% of them hadn't actually materialized. So what I'm asking you to do now is to actually challenge your thinking and say, is this thought true? How real is it? And in yoga, we say that the state of yoga comes about when the mind is peaceful. Yoga chitta vritti nirodha. It means that when the fluctuations of the mind become quieter, then we see the true self, we see our own true nature, and that is the state of yoga. And to get there, we do need to look at our thinking and to begin to challenge it. And now see if you can begin to make space around any fears you have by watching for the space between the thoughts. And now become aware of your breath. Just noticing the difference between the in-breath and the out-breath. And now just for a moment, focus on the pause after the exhalation. That little bit of space that can bring space and peace to the mind as we practice. Because when we give ourselves space, when we breathe functionally, this begins to dial down the nervous system. It helps us to come out of fear and anxiety and all that tight, rapid thinking, where sometimes we almost feel our thoughts are attacking us. When we can step back and say they're not real, we don't have to pay too much attention to them. They're just running in patterns. Then everything becomes easier. And then for the next 5 breaths, I'd like you to hum the breath out on the exhalation. So breathe in through the nose, and you're going to exhale in your own breathing and your own pitch. And let go on that exhalation. And when you've done your 5 breaths, continue to breathe And just to remind us of functional breathing, one hand, if you like, to the heart, the other just below the belly button, breathing into the hand that's on, or just on the navel, breathing through the nose if you can access that. Slow, mindful breath, not too deep, but the hand that's on the belly is moving. The hand on the heart is pacifying the chest area. And I'd like you to imagine that you're breathing in light on the in-breath, and on the out-breath, you're breathing out any fear or anxiety. Letting it go on the exhalation. The exhalation is the breath of apana, the breath of letting go, the energy of letting go. And then releasing the hands, we're going to do another breathing hack, if you like, to help dispel anxiety. You're probably familiar with this. You've probably done it with me before. We're going to take 2 sniffs in on the inhale, and then we're going to sigh the breath out through the mouth. So I'll demonstrate it once, and then you do it 3 to 5 times. So it's like this. Blowing out the breath on the exhalation. Sniff, sniff, blow. So just try that in your own breathing rhythm 3 to 5 times. And then coming back to your regular breathing rhythm, again, just drop into the body and observe how you are. Class hasn't been going very long, but we've been doing some profound breathing practices. So just observe how the mind is, how the body is, how the emotions are, and how this idea of not believing your thoughts or seeing that it's imagination outside of the present moment, does that resonate with you? Do you find that helpful? And if you don't, that's fine, but just observe all of this together. And just see if you can hold on, if you've got any feelings, any anxiety there, just see if you can watch that with acceptance and compassion, non-resistance to your present moment experience, even the uncomfortable thoughts. Making space around the thoughts. And just know that in this moment, all is well. That might not be particularly comfortable. There might be pain or fatigue or other things, but just know that at this moment, you are safe in this moment. And now we're going to move to the second part, which is the internal fear. And I'm going to talk about this as being fear of our own symptoms, because having had experienced long COVID and ME myself, I know that this is a big one, that we can be afraid of our own body. And what happens is, particularly if we have a crash, we tend to then ruminate on how we're never going to get better. This is going to go on for days or weeks or months. And then unfortunately, the fear drives us the stress response, and we stay stuck in that kind of spiral. So again, it's very helpful to not believe the thoughts and to challenge them. But I want to talk a little bit here about grounding, spaciousness, and Muladhara chakra. So Muladhara chakra, again, you hear me talking about this a lot. This is the base, the root chakra. And it is the one in which, if it's too open, we can become very fearful, become very materialistic. We want to have it in balance. And if it's closed, then we don't even feel that we're connected in our body. So it's always about this balance, this harmony. So Muladhara chakra is about, I am here, I am safe in my body. Certainly that's what we're aiming for, even if we can't come to that focus immediately. It's about grounding, and it's about nourishment. And it's said in scripture that what challenges fear is the idea of faith. Now, often we talk about love being the challenge to fear. That works also. But also it's about faith in the process of life, that there is something greater than us which will support us when we get out of the way and we just allow life to do what it will do. We have this trust, if you like. But, you know, this isn't something we can immediately come to just from one yoga session. This is something that we work to with the practices. So with that said, again, come to a comfortable sitting position, lying if you need to. And start by feeling into your hips, your bottom, and notice the support that you are resting on. And just feel that sense of being held, whether it's a chair, the floor, sofa, whatever it is, just feel into that sense of being supported. And now come to your feet. Now, if you can, look down at your feet and just notice them. And feel what it would be like to inhabit your feet. So from this concept of thinking about the feet and looking at them, now feel them. And start to explore your feet. Are there any tingles there, any sensations? Feel the surface beneath your feet. So if you're lying, that might be your heels, or if your knees are bent, that will be the soles also. Feel the texture. If you're wearing socks, feel the texture of your socks. And then feel the surface you're resting your feet on. Is it hard? Is it soft? So really notice your feet. And then imagine that under your feet, you've got a great big taproot going down, 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 down into the earth. And as you inhale, you're going to breathe in nourishment and love up your taproot into your feet, sending it to wherever you feel you need it in your body at this moment. And then exhale. And on the exhalation, breathe out any anxiety or fear. These visualizations are very powerful. And then imagine that from your feet, you can continue to breathe like this, but imagine you've got roots that are spreading now from your feet. And these are more fibrous roots. So your taproot is going down into the earth, bringing you up nourishment. The fibrous roots are supporting, they're spreading, and they're bringing you stability. So feel on the in-breath, you are stabilizing yourself. And then I'm going to give you an affirmation to say with the breath. So as you breathe in, say to yourself, I am strong, I have courage. As you breathe out, you say, I am balanced. I am strong, I have courage, I am balanced. And then letting go of that as an affirmation. Again, just explore how you are and explore your thinking. And see if you are able to challenge any fear you might have about your symptoms. In other words, you can accept your symptoms now in this moment, but you don't have to think about what might happen tomorrow or the next day or the next week. So as I was recovering, I changed the thinking in my head, and I used to tell myself that I had energy fluctuations rather than actually label or identify it as an illness. Because in some ways, when you identify it as an illness, you imprison your thinking and it goes on and on. When you just say, for now, my energy isn't so good. And actually, Catriona, who's here, she has a lovely one. She calls it spoons. I have fear of spoons, something that I think Catriona's used in private eye. But you have, more spoons one day and fewer spoons the other day. And I think, again, that's a very beautiful way to kind of change the narrative and to take us out of fear. But, when we're talking about fear and anxiety, there's the part of regulating the nervous system. I've done quite a lot around that, and I will do it again. And obviously the breath is one of the tools, other tools too. But when we start to regulate the nervous system, we are better able to challenge fear, particularly if it's being pushed at us. And we challenge that with love, with faith, with acceptance, and not buying into it, not giving it our attention. So one of my great teachers, Adyashanti, used to say that what we give our attention to grows. So just focus on love, peace, health, light, whatever it is that nourishes you, and don't give your attention to the dark stuff. And that way you can't be manipulated by these messages outside. And remember, it's okay to not believe your thoughts, although it is a practice. Doesn't mean the thoughts will stop, but you don't have to identify with them. So before we go into our yoga nidra, just sit again, and again think of something that might be bothering you, not too overwhelming. And feel how that feels in the body. So drop your awareness into your body, back into your feet, into your hips. And then be aware that you are surrounded by space in your room. And there is space in your body. Space in the breath. As the breath becomes slower, we make the breath more spacious. And space in our thinking. So see if you can create space around anything that you find is worrying you. Almost like you're stepping back on an eagle's perch and watching it from a distance. And then have a sense of breathing in space and nourishment and breathing out tension and fear. And now take one hand to the heart, drop your awareness down to the heart, and imagine you're breathing in and out through your heart, breathing in love. And if love is hard for you to access, breathe in kindness or compassion or acceptance. Just honoring yourself just as you are right now, and thanking yourself for showing up and being here for your yoga practice. And to finish the session, to quote Eckhart Tolle, in this moment, there is nothing to fear. There is only fear if I leave this moment, and I can only do that as a thought, which isn't real. And I just want to finish with a poem. So make yourself comfortable, and then we'll go into our yoga nidra. Close your eyes if you like. Some of you might have heard this before, but it's always nice to hear it again. It's called Autobiography in 5 Short Chapters, and the author is Portia Nelson. Chapter 1. I walk down the street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I am lost. I am helpless. It's not my fault. It takes forever to find a way out. Chapter 2. I walk down the street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I'm in this same place, but it's not my fault. It takes a long time to get out. Chapter 3. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it is there. I still fall in. It's a habit. But my eyes are open. I know where I am. It is my fault. I get out immediately. Chapter 4. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. Chapter 5. I walk down another street. So let's walk down another street together, challenging fear, not letting them make us afraid, knowing that we are always okay when we're in the moment and with the breath. And with that, I send you lots of love, and then I ask you to get ready, please, for your yoga nidra.